Theology in 3 minutes. Topic: Pascal's wager. In the 17th century, Blaise Pascal created a logical argument for the divine in the form of a simple decision matrix: believe in God, risk nothing, and gain everything, or do not believe and gain nothing while risking everything. Pascal's wager is a bit of an infamous apologetic, primarily because it appears to many as an ultimatum, not an actual argument. It doesn't provide proof or evidence for the divine. Instead, it often comes across as a threat: believe or burn. Even when taken more charitably, people see it as nothing more than forced gambling and dismiss it altogether. However, this oversimplification misses the point that Pascal himself was very clear about: that the wager was never meant to stand on its own. Pascal was not offering a shortcut around theology, philosophy, or doubt. He was addressing a very specific problem in human psychology: indecision in the face of uncertainty. So rather than lingering on the wager itself, it helps to understand how it was meant to function, either as a starting point or as the conclusion to a broader conversation. First, as a starting point, Pascal understood that you cannot reason someone into an idea they refuse to consider plausible. If a person is unwilling to even entertain the possibility, then further discussion on doctrine, evidence, or even criticism is utterly pointless. It would be like debating architecture with someone who denies the existence of buildings. It solves this dilemma by challenging the assumption that disbelief is the default rational position, or the assumption that belief is nothing more than mere superstition. Instead, Pascal presents belief as a legitimate rational decision, even if born from something as simple as a risk assessment. In fact, its simplicity makes it even easier to see why a rational mind could come to this conclusion. And Pascal was even more interested in the wager as a conclusion. Consider someone who has already worked through other apologetic arguments, and perhaps maybe even finds them plausible, but not conclusive. They hesitate because of one little detail or question that still lingers in their mind. Pascal recognized that absolute certainty is rarely available in any matter that contains nuance. At some point, simple reasoning reaches the limit of how convincing it can be. Something will always leave room for a doubt that falls just short of being completely perfect. So ask yourself, after being given so many arguments for the case, will it ever be enough? How many grains of sand do you need to be given before you're willing to call it a heap? This is why religions use the word faith. Faith means acknowledging doubt, but choosing trust regardless. Not blind faith, not irrational faith, but faith as commitment in the absence of absolute proof. Pascal doesn't ask you to abandon your doubt or to trivialize what is obviously a serious discussion. Instead, he gives you a reason to just take that final leap. It was never meant as a threat or a standalone proof, but to move the goalpost from being convinced beyond all reasonable doubt to something far more approachable and realistic. Pascal is simply asking, what do you really have to lose? On the other hand, look what you have to gain.